Let's tackle the topic, as I mentioned, of teen suicide. Dr. Patrick Lillard is a psychiatrist and a neurological surgeon. He's been kind enough to be with us and lend his expertise. Dr. Lillard, thanks for what you do for our kids, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
First of all, I was looking at statistics, as I often do when I'm getting ready for the means report, and I hate to bog people down with numbers, and so I just pulled one that stood out, and that is that suicide is the second leading cause of death among young persons age 15 to 24. Why, and if there's more than one reason, that's fine, but why do young people generally choose to take their own lives?
Well, number one is that they're dissatisfied with who they are. They feel shame, sometimes guilt, not always realistically. But this is a particular stress-filled time of life when you're deciding what you're going to do with the remainder of your life, and also you're trying to develop permanent relationships, and that's a quagmire within itself.
How come we don't notice that stress a lot of times? I thought it was a happy-go-lucky, carefree time, the best time of these children's lives.
Well, it's not. They're trying to define their identity and who they are and what they're going to do with their life.
Are we applying that pressure as parents without even knowing it? And if so, how? And how can we rein it in?
Well, our culture puts that pressure on not necessarily parents. The culture places a role or a task so that you're defined by what you do rather than who you are. You look at values of what you own and what you possess instead of looking at values such as honesty and kindness and generosity and empathy.
Well, it sounds like the pressures that you've described are unavoidable, because if we teach those basics of life, honesty, character, caring for your fellow man, but then they walk out the door of our home and see the person with the fancy house and the fancy car, they're going to think I have to be like that. Is that how you would see it, or am I just presuming that?
No, I think that's a good characterization of the problem, and it's increased over the last 15 years. The rate of suicide has increased in that age group 30%.
Do drugs have to be involved? Are drugs typically involved in the young person who wants to take their life?
Can be, but it in young males, guns are still the major issue. But as far as the contribution of various substances,
sure,
yes,
yeah,
it's one of the things that you need to be aware of in young people when their life seems to be changing. Then you need to think about, could it be that they're on a substance?
63% of the people who take their own lives in this young age group are white males. Any idea why that is, that mostly white males are in the suicide group?
I can speculate, partly because males are action-oriented. There's an old sort of aphorism that males act out and females emote. So, and this is good from my point of view, that females express their emotions.
Right.
Males tend to act out. So when they say life is not worth living, they're less likely to express that and to act on that thought.
Is the predisposition to commit suicide hereditary?
No, it's not. It's not in the gene, but there's a very, very strong familial component. If you're a member of a family where there is ongoing depression, you tend to be depressed yourself.
Sure, if the mood of the home is dark.
Correct.
All right, let's talk about ways that we can change these things, that we can reduce these numbers. Natalie's Light is a wonderful resource, and I know that you've been kind enough to become involved with that group, a group formed out of such tragedy. A young lady, Natalie Wood, took her life 2 years ago, 2015, and her parents saw to it that this group was formed to make sure that others didn't do the same. Should you seek out a group setting if you're trying to perhaps pull your child back from the edge? And if so, how do you get that ball rolling, Doctor?
First thing is to be aware of the problem, that it crosses all demographic lines. Doesn't matter what race, whether you're rich or poor, what your religion is, where you're from. It's worldwide. It could happen to you. So if you educate yourself on what are the things, that hallmarks. We like to use the example of if somebody's having a heart attack, most of us know the warning signs.
Sure.
Or a stroke, right? What are the warning signs that somebody might be thinking about ending their life?
Yeah, how do you know that it's gone beyond a typical moody hormonal teen?
A change in pattern is the hallmark. You have a young person that is active in school, with other activities, has friends, they like interacting, they like taking care of themselves, that they suddenly withdraw. They stop doing things that they were very interested in, they stop. They become irritable, whereas they're generally, we all have our ups and downs, but you see a pattern change. It's important to pay attention to that and to reach out and connect with them.
I saw that sleeping a lot is a warning sign.
Or the opposite.
Or not sleeping.
A change in pattern.
In pattern.
See,
so if your kid sleeps till 11 on a Saturday, don't freak out. That's just what they do.
If that's their pattern.
Right.
But if they sleep all day, or they don't sleep at all, that's the problem.
Okay, I got you. No, that's helpful. That's extremely helpful because we do all have teenagers who love to sleep a lot, but when that pattern changes or when it becomes extreme.
Yes.
You believe that suicide, I'm guessing, is preventable?
Absolutely.
Is early intervention the key here, or is it ever too late?
Number one, it's never too late. But early intervention is the way we're going to reduce there's been 150 suicides in the Columbia, Richmond, and Aiken counties over a 2-year period.
I couldn't believe that. Shocking. 150.
Right. Well, to reduce that number down to 0, maybe we're a little delusional, but that's what we aim to do. We need to start early. I'm going to give this little story. We need to connect with people on a basis where we don't have to say anything. We just say, how you doing?
And mean it.
There was a thing in the newspaper, and it was 6 months ago or so. There was a college football team that was at a local school, and they were going around glad-handing the students, and it was great. But then they went into the lunchroom at noon, and one of the football players noticed that there was a student, sitting over in the corner by himself.
Oh, yeah.
And he walked over and sat down. He changed that child's life.
Something that small.
That's all it takes is you see someone that they're withdrawn and they're struggling. Just saying, how you doing? Could make all the difference. Making human connection is more important. It doesn't require somebody with all this education and such. It requires reaching out and connecting on a human basis.
Well,
that's the first step, the most important one.
I think a lot of people are listening to what you're saying and will hopefully, as soon as this broadcast is over, go out into the world and try to make that connection with our young people and get that process started of getting them on a road to a better life. And I just cannot thank you enough, Dr. Lillard, for what you do and for how much you care for and love our young people.
I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, you're always welcome on the Means Report. Psychiatrist and neurological surgeon Dr. Patrick Lillard, and more importantly, an advocate for our young people. Listen to what he said. Rewind it. Make your kids watch. NataliesLight.org is the organization we talked about. There's one way to reach out to them on Facebook. Natalie's Light Shines is how you can track them down there, or just email info@natalieslight.org.